Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending tonight's business meeting. My name is Brad Gottschall. I'm your Lower Paxton Township Manager. And in typical fashion, I'm going to take this opportunity to give a brief summary of tonight's board agenda. So under old business, the board will execute an appointment to the Shade Tree Commission. Next, the board will take action on bids for the 2019 Township Paving Project. Finally, under old business, the board will consider Ordinance 19-02, making an amendment to Chapter 132 of the Township's codified ordinances, further providing the usage of further prohibiting the usage of various tobacco products in township recreational facilities. And under new business, before acting on improvement guarantees and the payment of bills, the board will consider a preliminary and final subdivision and land development plan for UPMC Pinnacles Community Osteopathic Campus. And with that, the board seems to be seated and prepared to begin. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome everyone to this meeting of the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors. We will call the meeting to order, and I would like to ask everyone to please stand for the pledge led by Mr. Chrisman. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have before us the minutes of the November 7th, 2018 meeting. Board of Supervisors for approval. Would anyone like to motion for approval of those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the minutes of November the 7th, 2018 as prepared and circulated.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Before we proceed to public comment, I would like to announce that the Board of Supervisors met in executive session prior to this public meeting, and we discussed a number of personnel and legal issues. With that, we now will open the floor for public comment, and this would be public comment for any item not on the agenda tonight. Would any member of the public like to address the Board of Supervisors on an item not on the agenda tonight? Mr. Murphy?
Good evening, Board. Being the first meeting of the month, I just wanted to come in and hopefully invite all of our listeners to our meeting this coming Thursday, the 7th. This meeting is going to be on the South Mountain Railroad. And some of you may have heard of it. This actually is a gold certificate from the South Mountain Railroad. Okay, which is actually older than both Mr. Chrisman and I together.
And yet it's not chiseled in stone. What happened? That's
Thank you, Mr. Murphy, for those comments.
Well, I was going to include Watson, but I thought that I'd be pushing it. But it was from 1876. The railroad started back in the 1850s and continued on and off by many names until around 1907 or 08. They cut actually a path through Lower Paxton Township that was going to go from Harrisburg to Jonestown and then on to Allentown, and then it was supposed to end up in Boston. No track was ever laid. It was a railroad that couldn't and didn't. But we are going to tell the story, and we hope to have a tour this spring through where some of the cuts are and some of the embankments are still on private property.
That didn't work.
Where the Running Pump Farm is that Eric Kessler owns is actually some of the trails.
What's the last name?
So it's going to be a very interesting story. Bob Thomas, who's one of our commission members,
Declan.
is going to tell the story. He also has been doing it for many years. He grew up right around the trail was. Last month's meeting was our biggest ever. We had a total of 88 people there. And if you get a chance, you can see the video on either Verizon 22 or Comcast 21 or on our channel on YouTube. And it's the story of the African American orphanage that was in Lingelstown. And that's it.
What time's the meeting again, Joe?
Meeting is Thursday night 6 o'clock. We are going to be changing the time of the meeting. We're not sure yet if it's going to be 6:30 or 7, but that's going to be voted on this time.
But this Thursday's meeting will be at 6?
It will be at 6 until we advertise a different time.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thanks, Joe.
Do we have any other members of the public who would like to address the board on an item not on the agenda? Also, I see we have a Boy Scout with us this evening, Declan, correct? You want to come up to the podium, Declan? I know you probably weren't prepared for that, but you might want to tell us a little bit about what you are doing here, what troop you belong to, who you're here with. Welcome. Ah. Great, great. We have a couple of members of Calvary Church here with us this evening, Mrs. Lindsay and Mr. Chrisman. So you probably see each other around. Declan Flutterjohn is how you pronounce your last name? Thank you. Well, thank you. Welcome. Hope you enjoy the meeting and don't fall asleep. Sometimes we get into some things that are a little bit in the tall weeds here, but to say the least. Okay, with that, we'll proceed to chairman and board member comments. Do any of the board members have any comments they would like to make?
Excuse me. Just wanted to thank the Public Works Department. They have worked very hard over the weekend, 3 big snows, and thank you again, Public Works. We really appreciate what you're doing for our residents. And I found this interesting. It was on the Township Facebook page. They did criteria on cities for the safest places to live with a population of 39,000 and more. And we're very fortunate. Lower Paxton Township came in 4th out of 25 cities in the state, over 39,000 population and more. So thank you, officer. And we appreciate everything that our police department is doing.
Very good. Any additional comments?
No, just remind Declan that all of our meetings are on YouTube, or they're at the website. They're on the website, they're posted on YouTube. So once this is up, you can show it to your friends and tell them that these are just one of the benefits of coming to your township meeting.
Plus you get a merit badge.
Yeah,
Right.
That's the best part.
Very important. Very good. With that, Mr. Godshall, the manager's report this evening.
Yes, sir, and members of the board. I have a few items for tonight's manager's report, one of which I'll start out here by giving a brief overview of, which was found in the public agenda, as well as your agendas for the past couple of weeks now anyway, is the entry plan phase 2. What was found in the public agenda is a brief executive summary, 1-page quick synopsis of the overall phase 2, which was a larger, document of about 7 pages. And this executive summary and phase 2 really breaks down the one-on-one meetings that I had been having for the past number of months with members of staff, members of the board, and members of key organizations and individuals really in Lower Paxton Township. What I found was really not a surprise to me because I've been seeing it every day since November when I started with the township, and that is that the township is an organization that is exceptionally well run. For the nearly 30 years, Mr. Wolf had provided phenomenal managerial skill set to the township, and we have a tremendous staff that work, every day to ensure that the long laundry list of services are provided without exception, excuse me. And so this executive summary really just boils down the findings of each of the groups of meetings that I had. And if you remember taking a look at that, members of the board and to the public, I will just briefly touch on those summaries. these are really a synopsis of the questions, kind of boiled down into condensed version for the purposes of this executive summary. But you can see in that chart how each of the groups responded to those questions in a summary format. And as you can see, really all groups being equal, the township is in good operational hands, and it continues to be a strong voice really in the municipal management world. And so that is the summary of the findings of the one-on-one meetings. I am working on the Phase 3 report right now, which is a larger document that has in it my own findings as manager in speaking with all these different individuals. It allowed me to really hone in on my own perspective on the township operation, as well as the township in its future kind of standpoint. And so that will be delivered to the board here fairly shortly, and then we'll be on to the last phase, which is Phase 4 of the entry plan. And when this is all done, it will kind of be one document, and that'll be presented to the board for action.
Thank you.
So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on that Phase 2, either now or at a different time. But other than that, I just have quickly two other items here under my report. One item is good news. The township has received a grant in the amount of $1,000 from the Natalie P. and Maynard H. Smith Endowment Fund of the Pittsburgh Foundation, and that's to be utilized for Coons Pool. We did receive this grant last year, and I think in a number of years in the past. And the grant funds are given to the township and then turned right over to Coons Pool for usage. So we certainly thank the foundation for its now continued generosity. And then yesterday, actually 2 days ago, on March 3rd, the Friendship Center began registration for the annual 10-week summer day camp program. And during this initial first day of registration, approximately 80 individuals were signed up in less than an hour and a half. And today we're now up to 97 people who had registered for the day camp program. To just provide a little bit of comparison, positive comparison, might I add, Mrs. Scott, the Friendship Center director, had informed me that last year during the registration process, people were held up in line for about 5 hours during the registration process, and now this year her and staff had whittled that down to an hour and a half. So I certainly commend the director and her staff for this terrific efficiency this year, and it's certainly shaping up to be a wonderful day camp program already. So that's all I have under my report.
Mr. Gutschall, did you notify Mr. Kunkel on the grant from that Coons will be receiving?
We have not yet, but we will certainly be doing that.
I think that'll make him very happy.
Very good. Thank you, Brad. You have Is there a question on the?
No, it was just a
Okay.
comment I was making, Mr. Judd.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. I may have to separate the two of you, but that's
Yes.
Now we'll go to old business. We have action to appoint Ellen Flamini. I hope I pronounce her name properly. Is Ellen here? Hi, Ellen. How are you doing? Why don't you come up to the podium so everybody can see you? And I hope I pronounced your name properly.
Flamini?
Flamini. Okay, thank you. Tell us just a little bit about yourself. You're up for appointment to a vacancy on the Shade Tree Commission.
I am. So I learned about this position through Amanda Zerbe, that it was an opening and an opportunity I've been a resident of the town.
Yeah, is there a button down below, the mic down
Button.
below? Sorry, we should know.
Okay. I was
There we
ready to
go.
just yell. Okay, it's on now. Am I good?
There we go.
So anyway, as a longtime resident of Lower Paxton Township and also as a business owner in Lower Paxton Township, I was looking for a way to give back to our wonderful township. So when I heard about this opportunity, I applied. I don't have a lot of experience per se in tree physiology or forestry, but I'm hoping that the other members of the committee are going to teach me, and I told them I'm willing to jump right in and have a shovel and learn everything I need to know about the position. I do bring a background in advertising and public relations to the position, so that's, I think, the talent that I bring that I can contribute to the rest of the members. So it's an exciting time, and I'm looking forward to hopefully being approved for the position.
Well, thank you so much for stepping forward and being willing to serve. Our township is blessed with many individuals who serve on our boards and commissions, and I will point out that if anybody's interested, if they go to our website, they can see those boards and commissions where we do have vacancies. The Shade Tree Commission is particularly not only well-run, but very knowledgeable. A lot, you're going to learn a lot there. We have really great people, and thank you for being willing to step forward and serve.
Thank you. Yes.
Any board members have any?
Nice to meet you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
With that, is there a motion to appoint Ellen to a vacancy on the Shade Tree Commission?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the appointment of Ellen Flamini to a vacancy on the Shade Tree Commission for a term of 5 years.
So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank
Ellen.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Now we need to take action on bids for the 2019 road paving project. Assumedly, at some point, the snow will go away and we'll actually be able to pave roads. Doesn't seem to be giving up easily this year, but Mr. Gottschall, what do we have?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the township held public bid openings on February 26th for the 2019 paving project. Four contractors placed bids on the project, which includes Marblehead Street, west of Dartmouth, Gloucester Street, Locust Lane to Marblehead Street, Miller Road, and Fairway Lane, Goose Valley Road to Lingelstown Road. There were also two alternate bids that were requested, which include Jonestown Road from Coke Lane to Charlton Road, and Pennsylvania Avenue from LaRue Street to Laurel Street. The engineer and staff recommended awarding this contract to Pensy Supply, the lowest qualified bidder, at an amount of $844,456.03, subject to solicitor review, execution of the agreement, and receipt of all appropriate documentation. On a positive note, the engineer had prepared a cost estimate for this project in the amount of $1,007,148.59, and that actually represents $162,692 above the actual recommended contract that you have in front of you today. So, but a good positive news for this bid. And with that, that's all I have.
And we've used them before
Yes.
and had very good luck with them. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Mr. Gottschall, two questions. Number one, the recommendation is for the base as well as alternate 1 and 2, correct?
Correct.
And my second question, has council reviewed it?
Yes, I have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Those are my questions.
Any other board members have any questions?
Mr. Gutschall, do you know approximately how many miles of road that is?
I do not. I'd have to get that for you.
Any additional comments or questions from members of the board?
Just a quick comment about the paragraph at the bottom. Mr. Heinz reviewed the proposal, and he'll provide a recommendation to the board for their March 5th meeting. Is that going to occur, or is he doing that through you, Brad?
Yes, Mr. Zumas, this That document that you're reading is just the minutes from the bid opening meeting. What comes after that in the document that you have in your packet is the actual recommendation letter. So that did come to me to pass along to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do any members of the public have questions or comments? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the bid for the 2019 paving project to Pensy Supply in the amount of $1,007,148.59, which includes the base bid and alternates 1 and 2 as presented by Mr. Gutschall.
So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Zumas. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. That now takes us to old business item C. We have proposed ordinance number 2019-02. This would amend Chapter 132 of the codified ordinances, further prohibiting various tobacco products, including electronic cigarettes. Mr. Gottschall.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if you remember during February 19th meeting, this ordinance was brought to the table for consideration, the first presentation of the ordinance, and this would simply amend Chapter 132, Parks and Recreation, to include the prohibition of various tobacco products such as vaping, juuling, etc., to different recreational facilities throughout the township. The ordinance had been advertised, and Mr. Stein, I believe, is prepared to
Conduct
do
a public
his
hearing.
business. Yes.
Hearing, yes.
Thank you. This is time and date set for the public hearing on ordinance 19-02, which would amend the Code of Ordinances entitled, or Chapter 132 of the Code of Ordinances entitled Parks and Recreation. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard on ordinance 19-02? Seeing no response, Mr. Chairman, it would be in order at this time to close the public hearing on ordinance 19-02, and the board may take action if it so desires.
Thank you, Mr. Stein. With that, is there a motion on proposed ordinance number 2019-02?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve ordinance 2019-02, which amends Chapter 132 of the codified ordinances, further prohibiting various tobacco products, including electronic cigarettes, as presented by Mr. Gutschall.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Board member questions or comments?
After the ordinance goes into effect, it's 5 days, then will the signs be changed at all the parks?
Yes, we will have to do some changing of signage and things like that.
Because I think that's the only way you're going to be able to enforce it.
Correct.
So, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Just to be clear so everyone understands, this is taking the existing prohibition for smoking in recreation centers and parks, the existing prohibition, and extending it to the various e-cigarettes.
Anybody else? Seeing no additional questions or comments, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. That brings us to new business, and we are going to proceed to subdivision and land development, and that means Mrs. Zerby is here and ready to go. Good evening.
Good evening. This is the preliminary final subdivision plan for Community Osteopathic Campus. It proposes to separate the existing Sussex Court apartments from the remaining UPMC Pinnacle Community Osteopathic Campus. The existing tract area has a total acreage of 37.039 acres and is located in the institutional zoning district. The Pinnacle Community Osteopathic Campus will be known as Lot 1 and will have a total area of 30.029 acres. The Sussex Court Apartments, known as Lot 2, will have a total area of 7.010 acres. There will be no new development or site improvements associated with this subdivision. The plan went before the Planning Commission at the February 6, 2019 meeting and was approved. The applicant has requested 2 waivers. The first, the applicant is requesting a waiver for the requirement to provide a wetland delineation report, and staff supports the waiver request. Number 2 is the applicant is requesting a waiver of the requirement that all curb ramps meeting the latest requirements of the American Disabilities Act must be provided along the sidewalk areas associated with the affected lots. Staff supports this waiver request with the understanding that curb ramps will be investigated for upgrade with any future land development. The plan only has 3 administrative comments and 2 general comments.
And could you move the microphone a little closer to you? Was a little, thank you.
Did you do it all over again?
Okay. We have before us any questions from board members? Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Yes. Would you like to come to the podium and identify yourself for our viewing audience, and then if members of the board or public have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Ed Black. I am with the firm of H. Edward Black and Associates. With me tonight is Mary Powell. She is representing Pinnacle on this project. Jenny Witters, who is the corporate real estate director for Pinnacle Health.
Okay.
And Rick Bittner, who is my firm's project manager and prepared these documents. I will be happy to try to answer any questions you may have. So, fire away.
Board members, questions? Mr. Chrisman.
Thank you. Mr. Black, do you have in front of you the documents that we have that we're going to take action on tonight? I hope the answer is yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I have a couple questions I would like to ask you, and I'd like your response so they can be memorialized in our minutes. This is the first part is just for note. There are 3 variances which have already been approved on November the 29th by the planning or by the zoning and hearing board. So that's taken care of. There are 2 waiver requests that you have requested. The first one, the staff supports this waiver, so that will be easy. The second one, I want to make certain that you clearly know and understand and support, which is the applicant's requesting a waiver of the requirement that all curb ramps meeting the latest requirements of the American Disabilities Act must be provided along the sidewalk areas associated with the affected lots. Staff supports the waiver with the understanding that the curb ramps will be investigated for upgrade with any future land development plan. Are you in agreement, and is that acceptable to you?
I am, we are, and that has been noted on the plans.
Very good. That was my next question I was going to ask. Ms. Zerby I know she would say, yes, it is already noted on the plan, because she always is way ahead of me. There are 3 administrative comments. Have those either been completed or will be completed in a timely fashion acceptable to Lower Township officials?
They are, as you stated, they have been completed or they will be completed once you grant approval and we can attach signatures.
Which is acceptable to our township staff that you must work with. Thank you.
Yes.
There are 2 general comments, and specifically I would like to address number 2, where there are 9 comments, as stated in the memo dated February the 26th, 2019 from Jason Hines from HRG. And again, the same question is applicable to this question, and that is that the 9 comments on the memo dated February the 26th have either A, been completed or will be completed in a timely fashion acceptable to township staff.
They have been completed or will be completed, and there's only one explanation. The total on-site parking, which was brought up in those comments, is 1,299 spaces on the site.
Okay, and that is what item number, please?
I may be mistaken, Mr. Chrisman. I'm sorry. That's under zoning, chapter 203, at the bottom of the first page of HRG's letter.
And again, your comment to that item was, I'm sorry.
That the
I have a
total
short
number,
recall.
there was a difference in 2 totals of number of parking spaces. We are confirming that 1,299 spaces are on the site.
Okay, then I'm going to direct my question to Ms. Zerby. Is that acceptable to you? His comments?
Yes.
Okay, as long as I know that there's an understanding that it's acceptable to you. Okay, that concludes my questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chrisman. Do other board members have any questions?
Does Pinnacle plan on still being the owner of the apartments?
I'm sorry?
Does Pinnacle still plan on being the owner of the apartments? No.
There's already a buyer
Oh, okay,
standing in the wings.
okay.
Additional questions? Any members of the public have a question or comment on this proposal or its proposed subdivision? Seeing none, we are now ready to have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the preliminary and final subdivision plan for Community Osteopathic Campus Plan 2019-01 that would include the 2 waiver requests with the notes attached, and also it's already noted on the plan. The approval of the 3 administrative comments and the 2 general comments, and specifically number 2 of the memo from Jason Hines of HRG with the 9 comments.
So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have 3 seconds. Shelley, you can pick from any of the above. It has been moved and seconded to approve the preliminary and final subdivision land development plan for UPMC Pinnacle Community Osteopathic Campus. This is Plan 1901. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Mr. Black, your plan is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Black, for doing your homework. Thank you for doing your homework and being prepared when you came tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chrisman.
So with that, we will now move to improvement guarantees, et cetera, et cetera. We have 5 improvement guarantees before us, all of which appeared to be routine.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Irby, can I just ask you on the Wise property?
Yes.
Residents are always asking nothing.
We know absolutely
Okay.
nothing.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, they keep asking and I say no, but I thought, well, maybe I would ask
Yeah,
again.
Yeah,
Okay.
just, they are still going with the notion that they cleared it for more visibility for the Weiss store for now.
Well, and they did all their homework ahead of time, if they do decide to put something in there, so, yeah.
Well, for now, it's nice open space.
Yeah.
So we're pleased with that. Anybody have any questions for Mrs. Zerby on any of the improvement guarantees?
Pretty straightforward.
Is there a motion then?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the 5 improvement guarantees as presented and recommendation for approval.
So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it. I didn't want to jump in.
I said, the last time I had 3
Okay.
seconds. This time we
I'll
have
second it.
Mrs. Lindsay will second the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That brings us to the payment of bills for Lower Paxton Township and the Lower Paxton Township Authority. Madam Treasurer.
Yes, I make a motion that we pay the bills for Lower Paxton Township and for Lower Paxton Township Authority.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any additional announcements or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to welcome back Miss Jody Troutman back to her familiar designated post.
Hi, Jody.
See you back.
Good. Things are back to normal. That's a plus. Well, Declan, you lucked out tonight. You have one of the shorter meetings that we usually have. So you still get your badge even though it was a short meeting. Thank you for being here.
Unless you want to go back up to the podium and speak a little more. I didn't think so.
With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.